Hello everyone watching at home, welcome to round 3 of the Adelaide Eternal Legacy Challenge. I'm Sarven McLinton and in the booth with me is Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys.
We actually have a special match for you today because we have Beckett Wolfe on the screen as well. He's on the left hand side of your screen playing Grixis control, and on the right hand side we have Elliot Hoskin who is playing Rug Waterfalls. So let's have a look at your... Elliot's deck is most interesting. Let's look at Elliot's deck. So this is Rug Waterfalls.
It's much more interesting than my deck.
Yeah, it is like off kilter. It's just got so much going on in it. It's all about free spells. You have Dreadhorde Arcanist, which can flash back free spells like Ancestral Vision and Crashing Footfalls. Crashing Footfalls gives you 2 Swole Bros, 2 massive 4/4 Rhinos, and you can also cascade into these via Shardless Agent, and then you've got a little bit of the usual, like Brainstorm and Ponder, plus Force of Will and Force of Negation to protect yourself when you pass the turn to a combo deck. What do you think about this deck?
Oh, it's so cool. I was like, oh, Elliot, send me the list, and I realised I've got the list right now in front of me anyway. I'm going to put it together. I think it's so cool. It's got everything I like. 4 Force, 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Shardless Agent. Shardless Agent, I think, is one of the most underrated cards in Legacy. It's just a shame because it doesn't have too many shells, because you can't play like Abrupt Decays, etc. if you're playing Shardless Agent too easily. But it's really cool. You're always going to hit something relevant. I think it's sweet. It's playing a lot of new cards.
It's basically
a lot of fun as well.
It's basically mono Horizons War of the Spark. It's basically the last 1 month put into a deck. It's got Ren and 6, it's got Dreadhorde Arcanist, it's got Crashing Footfalls, and it has Force of Negation, Magmatic Sinkhole, Fiery Islet. It's just basically all new cards.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think they're all really, really strong and powerful. We've seen them make an impact in every format. Basically everything except As Foretold, in my opinion, is just like a solid on its own card that's playable in Legacy.
Yeah.
Maybe not Footfalls, but anyway, it's a very synergistic deck. It's really elegant. I think Elliot said it 5-0'd some tournament recently, and he just copied the 75 exactly. So I'm definitely going to put it together. Over my pile, let's have a look at it.
Your pile.
My pile's good. It's outdated, but it's good.
Speaking of outdated, your pile is the antithesis of Rug Waterfalls. Rug Waterfalls is just all new cards, and yours is no new cards.
Oh man, look at those old cards. I'm playing Badlands, Underground Sea. How old are those? They've been around since, at least Innistrad.
You're on the sweet tech of Zero Narset. The sweet tech of 0 Force of Negation.
Don't want them.
0 Fancy Lands. 0 Ren and 6s.
Don't want them.
0 Dreadhorde Arcanist. It's basically no new cards. Oh wait, no, you got Liliana's Triumph. So you got Liliana's Triumph, but not Angrat's Rampage.
Yeah, I wanted that new, because I'm playing like Engineered Plague in the sideboard. I wanted that.
You're not even running
critter.
Plague Engineer.
It comes up.
It's so good.
It's really good. It was kind of relevant. I played Death and Taxes later, and it was like relevant, and I really want it. I just don't own it.
Yeah, a Death Toucher is great, where you just go. You play it against a deck that normally wouldn't care, like, I don't know, Grixis Control, and you name Bird, and they can't have Shardless Agents, or you name Human, and they can't have Snapcaster Mages. Oh, and he's got Death Touch, so he just blocks Kermag Angler.
No, it's really good. I want to give it. If anyone wants one, send it in to Adelaide Eternal.
care of Beckett Wolfe,
please.
who doesn't have any new cards. And this was a very, very strange event. So you're going to see the clash of new versus old, Grixis Control versus Rug Waterfalls. Let's go down to the match. So we've got you guys drawing your cards now, and that's you on the left there drawing your 7. Looks like a 7 with Jace the Mind Sculptor, Brainstorm, and Liliana's Triumph, and a bunch of lands.
That's right. I don't really know what I'm against. I think I got the heads up that it's a Shardless Agent deck, but I didn't really know what I was in for. It's a good hand though. It's got Brainstorm, bit too many lands, but yeah, fetches and Brainstorm
will fix that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's fine. And Elliot, I don't know if he's going to show us, but
he's got Misty Rainforest.
Oh yeah. Force of Negation, I think I saw.
Yeah, that's about all we can see.
Yeah.
And he's got Scalding Tarn now. And we know his hand contains at least 2 lands, or 3 lands. That's about all. Alright. Ponderino. Starting off with a Ponder on turn 1 is always quite satisfying because in a format unlike Highlander where you have 8 to 12 of these cantrip spells, it's okay to fire them off. Whereas in Highlander, you're like, oh, my Ponder. I'm going to save this Ponder for like turn 7.
Yeah, that's it.
So this is going to be a bit of a situation of land go, isn't it? Because Rogue Waterfalls doesn't have any early plays except Dreadhorde.
That's right. And look, I'm in no rush to fire off my Brainstorm yet. I probably could have played the fetch land there, but I don't think you need to manipulate your hand. I think I said this last time. I've been like holding my cantrips and brainstorms later and later.
Yeah.
The more I play this deck, you don't need to like manipulate your hand. It only costs 1 mana until you're ready for it.
Yeah. So like
I don't even really know what I'm against either. So I thought there's a good chance he'll play like something that I can edict.
Yeah. When you're on quite a few lands in hand and you've got a Jace, you're actually quite. When you brainstorm, there's not like some combination of things you're actively looking for. Like you're not actively looking for more land. You've got enough land. You're not
I think the
actively
only
looking for spells,
thing I'm actively looking for ever is like him to Tirak.
Oh, yeah.
Early.
Yeah, like you're just gonna
because like turn two him is like quite strong, but I don't think it's worth like burning a brainstorm turn 1 just to on the off chance you'll find that. And I'm happy with this. I'm playing it out because I think like the only card I really get punished by is like Spell Pierce or Counter Spell, like where he gets to use his mana.
Whereas
and
if
I don't think
force it, you're like,
exactly.
I himmed you, and I'm happy with
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has. I think Miracles is the only deck that runs it. And I kind of just wanted to ask the question to learn more about his deck. And when he forced a negation that, I was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
You got rid of like a brainstorm and a force or something. That's always a satisfying feeling. It's like hemming them and hitting 2 relevant cards. You're always happy with that, as opposed to hemming and hitting the wrong cards and they untap and they slam that 3-drop that you were worried about.
That's right. I mean, you got to. That's knowledge of the format as well. Like, I know he's not playing Daze because he's playing Shard's Agent. So that's another card like I might get blown out by. But if he's not playing Daze, then there's not that much like blowout here and just jamming.
Speaking of blowouts, I believe Renin 6 is going to come down. I just saw Renin 6 on the far right hand side. And if you have not seen this card yet, it's probably the definition of new cards that have warped Legacy most dramatically. Dreadhorde Arcanist is great as a better Dark Confidant in a way.
But Dark Confidant wasn't that popular.
Yeah,
certainly
exactly.
strong, but not that popular. Renin 6 people are playing. I mean, yeah, they're jamming it. I know it's snack fading.
Yeah, it's gonna come down with no fear of Daze because Beckett doesn't play Daze. Beckett's not a Daze player.
Daze is a beautiful card, but not in Grixis control.
Nope.
And Dak, I haven't played against that many Dak. It's so good in Vintage, it's so good in Highlander, but I haven't seen it in Legacy, and I was like, is this good? Like, is there a reason people don't play it? Like, surely it's good.
Yeah, it's really.
I was trying to wrap my head around it.
So dirtly, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but it eats Baleful Strix, which I was like, yeah. So it's the same again. I got to take a life total, and then I realised, no, he's doing it the other way. He's not doing force pitching that. He's doing that, pitching that. So it's better because now my go makes worse. But it's the same as basically the last play. He's used 2 2-for-1s.
Yeah, and that's what Grixis wants. You're happy to be basically hemming your opponent. You basically hemmed 2 turns in a row. Sure, you lost 2 very important win cons in the deck, like Jace and Liliana, but...
Well, hopefully this means he kept a controlling hand rather than a handful of gas. And at least I'm up on card advantage. Although he still seems to have quite a healthy amount of cards.
Yeah, he was on the draw, so...
That's right, and the quality of cards is going to be good with Dak. So I think my plan, like, I remember being like, how has he just got, like, so much gas? And I think it is that Dak is just getting him the quality. It's not so much that he's got that much quantity, but, I might have 4 cards in hand, he's going to get 3, but his 3 are going to be really strong.
And he's pitching gas, so it means the rest of his hands is great. Here's Renin 6. Ren coming down.
I keep wanting to say Ren and Stimpy every time.
Yeah, well, it is 2 characters on one card, right?
Did you ever watch that?
Well, when he uses Ren and 6 here, it's actually going to get him back in from those double him, essentially.
He's got the Tarn, yeah.
And here's a Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Nice
this is
play.
A big turn.
It is big. He's got card advantage off Ren and 6. I have to deal with the Arcanist. No, I've got the Edict, remember. I have to deal with the Arcanist.
I mean, as Grixis control, you've got a plethora of removal for creatures, but once the 2 rhinos come down, it's actually really hard to beat
It
them.
is, yeah. A Gurmag angler does a pretty good job, but you certainly can't swing into them. And yeah, it can get a bit awkward. The Edict should deal with it. I'm pretty confident he's not going to have any more forces because he's only got 1 card hand left. 1. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's been 2 Force of Negations and 2 Force of Wills you've seen actually
right.
exiled or in the bin so far.
So but now it feels like, you know, with the board state settled and he's just going to untap with 2 Planeswalkers, which...
But remember that Ren and 6 return to land, and then Dak discards that land, so he's going to have basically 2 cards a turn. No, not just... Because oftentimes people go, oh, look, Ren and 6 is very strong, but it only ever specifically gets you cards you don't really care about.
That's true.
In a grind. But in reality, with Dak together, that in tandem, these 2 are just basically drawing 2 cards a turn in total.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does
it put it back? Does it put the land back to play or to hand?
No, it goes into your hand.
Okay,
so you pitch it to Dak.
It is quite good with Dak, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheeky. It's kind of like Life from the Loam and Dak Faden. You pair those 2 up in Vintage in these Oath type builds, and you can just kind of loan back 3 cards, then Dak Faden away, discard 2 of those lands. It's really good. But here, I think the advantage bar has gone from you towards Elliot.
I think so, with that untap. If I was able to, I mean, not that I have mainboard Dreadball, but if I was able to the other thing is both these guys get around Bolt.
Yeah, they get around Bolt. I don't know about Dacking before Renning, but he might have a 5-drop and he wants to actually play the land.
Yeah.
But maybe he's actually already got 2 land in hand anyway, so he just wants more information.
So that's that new Delve spell. That's 5 damage to a Planeswalker or creature.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 or 7 in Delve.
Sweet.
It's cool.
Such a cool
kills
card.
Gurmags and kills Jaces.
And the reason this Waterfalls deck plays it specifically is because you don't cascade into it awkwardly.
Yeah.
So I really like the card.
Yeah, and there's not too much else that you want to be delving. Like, there's not much pressure in the graveyard. You've got Dreadhorde Arcanist, but you're not playing other delve spells like Gurmags and stuff.
So the reason he sequenced it that way is because he actively wanted the land.
Okay.
So
although he's not keeping up high cost days. So he goes resolve. I say trigger resolve, certainly.
So trigger happens and you...
Oh, no, that's right. He's got Brainstorm in hand. He goes, trigger. And I'm like, trigger resolves. He goes, I
retain priority.
Actually, yeah. And he can do that because the Cascade trigger goes on the stack. So this is perfectly legitimate. And now he gets to sort of, hopefully, manipulate the top 3. And if he doesn't like it, he's still got that fetch land in play. So he can shuffle them all. But he gets to flip. He gets to
draw, and he has priority to shuffle if he wants to.
Yeah.
But
So
he
he's
doesn't need to because he's got the rhinos. Yeah.
So he gets to flip away the chop, which he didn't want, and get rhinos. And I force the rhinos.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, look, 2 4/4s is a bit hard for a fair Grixis deck to beat. But does this leave with you a single card in hand?
It does, yeah.
So I wonder what that 1 card has to be for you to get back in the game. Yeah, because you'd pondered, so you knew K command was on top.
Yeah, and so that was destroy artifact.
2 damage to Ren.
2 damage to Ren, and then
3
finish
damage
Ren.
to the Bolt.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
The Bolt, I remember having the Bolt in hand, and both Dak and Ren went up to 4 immediately, and I was like, jeez.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
Ren's such a good walker. Elliot still gets to untap, so with a Dak Faden active, this is really puts him really far
Dak's on
ahead.
6, and I'm like, ugh, is he playing Dak because he's got some
target,
Yeah. But I think he ends up going up to 7 here.
Yeah, most of the time that's what happens, alright, with Dak. Just keep looting, because you're just always going to get better cards.
But even though that K command was quite strong, I still got 2 for 1 both ways, because I had to force the thing and then bolt the Ren, so I lost double card advantage both times. That's right. Yeah. Ponder's quite strong there from Elliot at this stage in the game.
For sure.
Especially with a snack fading.
Well, you've just pondered so that you know that next card. If that next card is a land, you're going to be pretty sad. Do you remember what it is?
Oh, no. I mean, not now. Surely I remembered at the time.
Yeah, we would assume.
Let's go. I'm going to say Jace.
That'll be good. I mean, that's the way to combat Dak Faden. You just draw Jace and feel good. Now, what are the targeting things in Elliot's deck? It's just Lightning Bolt and Lightning Bolt and that Magmatic Spray thing.
Yeah, but that's going to kill anything anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking about, you play a Jace and it goes up to 7, and then you go, oh no, wait a second, because you might have a Magmatic Spray to hit this, and then you've got you've got an emblem with Dax, so you gain control of it. But emblem's not going to happen. It's just all about the looting here. Obviously, that card that you put on top was not good.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think I kept the Ponder because it was like good card and like a brain. I think it was like Brainstorm Colligans and then
like OK card or something.
Yeah, and maybe just like even a fetch land.
So when your opponent has Dak Faden and then 2 Basketballers and Dreadhorde, I'm surprised you don't just concede here. Because I don't think there's any way that you can get back from this position. Because like playing Jason bouncing a Rhino is bad. Yeah, because I believe the moment that they resolve in game 1, like you don't have access to say Toxic Deluge or something, it's really, really hard for you to get back in the game. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw the writing on the wall. Let's go to the sideboard. So looking at your sideboard, I've got
Blebs and Rebs.
Yep.
Because he's got Ren and Dak, and I assume he's going to bring in Pyroblast, and he's even got some other random red cards like Bolt. Not that that's something you want to blue elemental, but there's plenty of targets for it, basically. So I'm bringing in the 2 elementals. I'm not sure if I bring in Fluster. I think I do bring in Fluster because of the Rhinos. The Cascade spell is quite a good one. And then I bring in all my Pyros and Rebs.
You're taking out Fatal Push.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a maybe pile.
I think I'd take out...
Because I think you need to keep it in.
For the Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Yeah.
But then that's the only card, and I'm like...
Yeah, but it's a really,
But I can also
good
blue
card.
elemental it, right?
True, but you got to save them for random 6.
I think I might end up... I think it's in a maybe pile. I definitely keep one of them in. I take it out, and then I go, oh, actually...
But you basically just take out Forces, right? Because...
Yeah, I took out Forces.
Forces are just not good in this matchup.
Yeah. And he kept his Forces in, which I don't know was correct.
I think it's incorrect.
Yeah, I think so too.
For those who are playing Legacy and are relatively new to the format, as a general pro tip, if you're playing Grixis or a mid-range deck, if in doubt, the Forces... Okay, here's a good rule of thumb. If your deck plays 4 Force of Will and they're your only counter spells in your main deck, that's because it's the nature of Legacy. And you just have to make sure you don't just insta-lose to some random combo deck or need to protect something. You know, when you're looking at, say, Delver's not the case. It's got 2 Spell Piercers, it's got 4 Dazes. It actively wants those counters to protect its threats. Whereas as a mid-range deck, you pretty much, if you've only got 4 Forces in there, Thoughts is a different matter, but if you've only got 4 Forces, that's because it's an insurance policy.
That's right.
And if your opponent cannot combo you, almost always, you take out all the Forces
Absolutely.
on the play.
Force is what I take out the most often.
The exceptions become against on the draw again. Oh, here we go. That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? I think you keep Thoughtseize him in.
I only cut one. I agree because I'm on the play.
And on draw, you leave a Thoughtseize in, but you take him out just to be earlier in the game.
I'll pay that, but I think I kept it for game 2 and game 3 the same.
Okay.
But I was like, him on the play is pretty good actually. But I had to take something out,
So to continue the previous train of thought for the newer players, there are exceptions to taking all your Forces out in fair matchups. So the exceptions include playing against Delver and being on the draw. Sometimes you have to actually keep in 2 Force of Wills, specifically because they will run you over and you will die. And it's quite important to, say, not die in the first 5 turns, because once you get past those first 5 turns,
you do get a significant tempo advantage, but you get a significant card advantage disadvantage. So, I think I've always taken out Force of Wills against Death and Taxes, for example. And this tournament, just a trial, just to mix it up, just to experiment, to develop myself, I practiced just keeping the Forces in versus D&T, because I knew he wasn't playing Cavern. And it wasn't so bad. I think I'd cut at least 2 of them again, but for the same principle as your Delver, I was just really scared of turn 1 Vial, really scared of turn 2 on the play Thalia, and I just was like, I think I can beat him in card advantage. I just don't want to lose to an early Thalia and an early Vial, so I'm going to keep Forces in. And it was fine.
Yeah, cheeky on the play, take out all Forces, on the draw, leave in 1.
Yeah.
Is a pretty common strategy against D&T. So, but yeah, I can see going to 2. So here we have a pretty land light hand from Elliot.
It had visions and it had
But it has
force
visions.
and the other and the new force.
It's
so
all protection, but very land light, right?
yeah, but I think it's a keeper.
Given the game's going to go long, it's not like he's going to get wastelanded out of the game. So, because normally when you keep a one-lander in Legacy, you sign yourself up for the possibility of just getting wrecked by Wasteland. Here's Baleful Strix on turn 1. Apologies for the wall of glare that has been summoned by Beckett there. But again, this is just a new positioning of our camera in a new environment. So the colours are just slightly off and the glare is just slightly poorly positioned. But we will do our best to describe all the cards that might be obscured by the wall of glare.
Yeah, I think you can see most of them. You can see the Strixes
It's
laying
a
there.
burb. It's definitely a burb with the wings, so clear enough. What is this? 2 and so another burb? Yeah. Alright.
Got a bit.
So now when you pass turn and he just goes like, oh, here's my underground sea and here's my plague engineer naming burb. You're still like, yeah, that's fine. Because I just cantripped off these. So this is a cheeky end of turn brainstorm. So he's obviously, if an opponent end of turn brainstorms in a fair matchup in the early game, they're almost always actively digging for land drops or actively putting away land drops.
Well, they're
There's
looking
pretty much the 2 criteria.
or looking for something like he might be looking for something to play.
Yeah, like a turn 3.
You know, I think
something.
his deck's a bit more practical because he's got the Dax and the Ren and the Dreadhorde. But I think a lot of players, do these brainstorms early, and it's like, what are you looking for?
Yeah,
like
because if you
what
got
proactive
DAC, you would have
spell?
never played DAC into an open Hydroblast.
Exactly, but like,
So-
what do you want? What do you want to play here? Is the question. I think he does play DAC here, and he steals a Baleful Strix, and I was like, oh, they're artifacts.
Yeah.
It sort of deals
See,
with both of them,
I-
kind of.
Yeah, I could see brainstorming there to find Renin 6, because then you untap, you play Renin 6,
And keep up Pyroblast.
and keep up Pyroblast, like something like that. Now, it is interesting that obviously you bring in 3 Pyroblasts in this matchup, but in your cascades there are times when those Pyroblasts can be bad, which is kind of against the principle of the deck. But it's
At
a
least
casualty of the
Pyroblast
deck.
can do the on board
you can
cascade,
kill a
so
thing.
it's not as bad as I think. I mean, Pyroblast is mainly there as a counter, but it at least has that mode to it.
Now he does find Basic Island here. Is this a telegraph to the fact that he's brought in back to basics against you?
Yeah, I thought that, but then he sided him. He fetched it for basics in game 1, and I didn't see any Blood Moon or back to basics, so I was just like, oh, like whatever.
I think the moment I see that him rechange that into a Basic Island is that Polluted Delta on your side is just earmarked for Basic Island. Like you just, the fear of being back to basics is so painful, right? Yeah, here's the Baleful Strix grab. So he grabs a Baleful Strix, ready to block your Baleful Strix if needed.
Yeah, and I'm umming and erring, but I think it's better to trade because I have Colligans and I've got Gurmag. So if I've got both Strix in my bin, then I am able to Colligans them back and I'm able to Gurmag them away.
And you don't have a Colligans to kill his Baleful Strix and attack for 1 on the DAC or something.
Yeah.
But
Or is here a Colligans? Oh, he's a Colligans here, is it?
because if you Colligans, it's not much value because you're going to make him discard a card.
No, it's not amazing, but at least I killed the DAC as well.
You want to kill the DAC for sure. Is that a Force of Negation here?
Yeah, it is.
I like how we debate about this play being not great but necessary, and then it gets negated, and you're like, oh, actually, I really wanted that to resolve.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it must have been a good play, right?
But okay, yeah. I think I did get Volk here. I wasn't thinking too much about back to basics, admittedly. At least I got 2 swamps. Although in hindsight, I needed a blue-black. I remember being stuck on black mana, and I just assumed because I had both swamps that I'd be fine. But actually, I needed black and then
like him and
Gurmag
Triumph
or
at the
something.
same
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Getting a bit of information here to decide whether or not I want to swing Strix. And I think I decided it is worth swinging Strix because I know he's going to block to protect DAC.
And you're always open for the following turn to Colligan's command his 2 damage to
That's
DAC.
right, yeah.
The interesting thing is the way that Force of Negation has changed the landscape, where you're often going to be finding that a play you would otherwise make on your turn you'll do on their upkeep, even though it causes them to untap, because you know that they they might have, say, access to 2 mana.
Well, it's like what I said
They can't
before.
hard
There's not
cast
that many
or
counter
something.
spells in the format.
Yeah.
There's not. Like, Miracles is basically one of the only decks that runs it. Miracles. Does High Tide run counter spell? Doesn't know.
Yeah, look,
I don't think
it
so.
does not run counterspell, but High Tide I don't really count it in the decks.
Well, I'm trying to think of other decks that play counterspell. Like, there's not that many.
It's literally Miracles and sometimes incorrect Stoneblade lists.
Yeah.
Like, people
yeah,
are,
yeah.
I play this in Stoneblade. I don't know.
So Sharkus Agent here. And he laments that he bolts my face, I think, with this one. Yeah.
Well, that feels bad, doesn't
It
it?
does. Although, to be honest, like, I played a lot of Shardless Agent and flipped my fair share of Abrupt Decays. And, like a 3 mana to do, like, for a 2/2 that bolts on impact, it's not where you want to be because you're not playing, like, an aggressive deck.
It's better than flipping a Decay.
Well, I mean, it's not, like, a terrible... Would you play 3 mana for a 2/2 that bolts face on entry?
So a great
Not in Legacy, but...
you know what I'd equate it to? Would it attack 3 times? If it's going to attack 3 times, it was basically 3 mana 3/3, which we wouldn't play.
I'll play that.
Or if it attacks 6 times in the game, it's a Raging Crunch, right? Like a 3 mana 4/3.
So he discards Force and As Foretold, and I got lucky. I hit my Delta there, so I was able to get my other black mana, and I think I get to go Mag here, which is pretty sweet. And I get a blue elemental.
Yeah,
It's
nice
pretty-
blue elemental.
it's a pretty
That's
good
a pretty
turn.
good turn.
It's a pretty good
You
turn.
gotta say. Nice.
But he does untap.
If he
I
untaps
think
and slams back to basics.
Well, he untaps and has Visions here, which is
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sweet.
big. That's big.
And he's like,
But
take the Force back
I
in.
think, aside from Magmatic Sinkhole, he has no answer to the 5/5.
Yeah, although Magmatic Sinkhole's, like, he's got one in sideboard, which he probably
so
sides in,
maybe
right?
he's got 2 of them.
Yeah. And the 4/4 Rhinos. The
double
Rhinos
block the
double
Rhinos.
block pretty well.
Yeah. Well,
Just thinking about my delves here.
Oh yes, I love the nature of Highlander. Love the nature of Magic in general since Khans, where so often you're resolving your delve on their turn.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I play this guy past to you, and they're having their turn whilst you're still just going like, this card and this card, just like speed the game up. Otherwise, it would take forever.
Yeah, I just wanted to keep basically a nice little, one creature there for the Colligans and a Ponder and a Hymn for Snap.
Yeah, selection.
I'm always happy
That's
to
your
Snap Ponder.
That's your like Haig's assortment. What's that? That's your favourites box right there, just in your graveyard. I could have one of each of these. No problem.
I think it's a pretty good game. Like, it's quite even. He's got 3 in hand or 2 now after the land, but he's had a Ponder late in the game, and I've got a 5/5. He's still got a 2/2. I'm slightly ahead just because of the power of the Gurmag over the 2/2, but
He's ahead on card vantage, right?
well, he's got an opportunity here
Yeah,
to make
it's
a
a
very
window.
good turn.
A big window.
There you go. He's got 3 in hand, of course, because he drew for turn as well. So, he's got a window here to do something relevant.
He's cracked Misty Rainforest and fetched another basic island. This is obviously tipping you off for game 3, right? You're like, okay, I could get back to basics if I lose this game, right?
Do you know what? Like, I am scared of back to
Actually,
basics.
if you win this game, right? Because you're
that's
down
going
1.
through. I am scared of back to basics, but I wasn't thinking about it too much because I'm a bad player. But also, I've also got 4 Pyroblasts post board, like 2 Pyro, 2 Rebs, so 4 Pyroblasts post board. Like, I can survive. It's definitely awkward, and there can be like a really powerful turn where I tap out, he slams it, and I'm like, ugh. But like, it's not game over by any means.
The thing that I like, the old suspend the Rhino, it's nice. That's a big turn.
It is a good turn.
The Rhinos can come off in the future, but for now, you have to answer the fact that Dreadhorde Arcanist can turn sideways.
That's right, and get a
flashback
Ponder.
Something that could create a Magmatic Sinkhole that kills your guy before blocks.
Absolutely.
Like there's scary situations, but answer that guy straight on
and get in there.
And obviously you sequence it that way because if your opponent had he's only got 1 card. Because otherwise, if your opponent counters your lightning bolt,
Yeah.
you'd go, oh, I wish I didn't swing.
Yeah,
Because I
right.
need to kill that thing.
That's right. Well, yeah, exactly. You want to at least kill the Dreadhorde if he's going to get swing value off it.
Yeah.
And then I was umming and ahhing about that snap, because I could snap him and get rid of the last card in hand, which is arguably quite good, because he did tap out and he pondered, so maybe it's a good card that he just couldn't afford.
It's very likely to be a land, right?
Yeah,
because
so
of the draw 4 on that turn.
That's right. So I chose to ponder, keeping up Swamp in case I hit, I started out Thoughtseize, so I'm not sure what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I just needed a blue.
I do actively like the ponder. The other thing I really like is Snap Bolt.
Yep, I'll pay that.
Snap Bolt the guy, and then he's just pressure.
Absolutely.
But Jace is huge here. Jace is just massive. Bouncing a Gurmag at this point in the game is going to give him so many turns.
Because I can replay the Gurmag. I'm not too worried about that. But because he's got that suspend card, what it really says to me is it's slowing the game down.
So you had a lightning bolt in hand already, so that's why you didn't.
Now I could bolt the Jace, right? But I had the backup Dreadbore, so I could bolt the Jace.
Yeah, I like it.
But I ask him the question, and then I eke out a bolt on my snap, which is probably something he didn't really want to do. And it's a really smooth, elegant turn for me again, because I get to replay the Gurmag now after that interaction.
I think you have to exile one more card. I think you're one card short of exile.
I paid 2.
Oh, yeah.
2 mana, yeah.
No, I think you only exiled 4 cards. That's right. I think it's largely moot, anyway, whatever may happen, because that Gurmag is probably going to go the distance. If there wasn't a magmatic sinkhole before, the odds of him drawing are pretty low. And this is an aggressive brainstorm.
It is aggressive. I remember thinking it's aggressive.
You're just already so far ahead, you just don't need to.
Yeah, I'll pay that. I definitely was umming and erring about it. I agree. I do like waiting till you got a bit more cards in hand, but I think I was like, I've still got 3 Jaces. Well, I've still got 3 Jaces left in the deck.
Yeah.
And I know I've still got quite a lot of gas left in the deck.
You're thinking you want to seal the deal rather than just hold on to it.
Well, keep in mind he's got the suspend card on the field, so that will stop the Gurmag.
Yeah, so the brainstorm paid off there because you had another Gurmag. Yeah. I love the force of will, and it's like both these Gurmags are the same, so you just bin the one that's been around and attack with the other one. It doesn't matter, right? It's completely irrelevant. This Gurmag really, really... So he's actually on 2, right?
I think he'd already taken a life for that.
Oh, right. So then this is actually really relevant then, because those 2 rhinos are going to block the Gurmag. Yeah, this is... Brainstorm here, not great, right? Not great. It's 3 different cards, but he was really hoping to hit a Rhinos. The Rhinos would have just sealed the game, right? Would be game over for you.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's got
dodged a bullet, right?
He's got a chance to jump.
Yeah.
And he jumps because he doesn't want to lose to bolt.
Or K-Command. It's like, 5 outs is huge. So you ended up finding the fetch land because you brainstormed and you know the cards on top of your deck. So
I think I know the top one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So where was that Polluted Delta? Just kept in hand to bluff? Was that it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need to show it, but now I know I want to maybe... I might want to shuffle the top
card, yeah.
Pending.
Shuffle the top card and draw Jason Mind Sculptor to bounce one of these tokens.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That'd be pretty good, yeah.
And a Dreadhorde Arcanist.
This Dreadhorde Arcanist is terrifying because it's going to make 2 more runners.
That's right, it's very terrifying.
So obviously you shuffle away that chaff on top.
Yeah, I think maybe it was like an Edict on top or something, and I was like, Edict's quite good versus the, because if he goes for the double block rhinos, and I get to kill the Rhinos, but then I just lose to the Dreadhorde Arcanist swing back.
I like the cheeky fetch Underground Sea instead of Basic Island. Just no respect.
No respect.
Actual baller, right? Whilst there's ballers on the battlefield right now.
Sure,
basket ballers.
And...
So Strix to redraw, right?
Yeah.
Try and find Jace. Oh, Toxic Deluge for 4.
That's pretty nice.
Oh, that is brutal. Attack for 1.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, Elliot's not happy.
Yeah, after the fact that Elliot played the Dreadhorde Arcanist going like, I'm going to seal this deal, like I'm going to seal the game up. But it actually ended up costing him the game, I think, because otherwise he would have been able to slam it after untapping, after the Rhinos go.
And Dak's like not a great top deck. Oh, it's alright. It's better when obviously you got cards in there. I'd rather be pondering though. Like I feel like Ponder is just as good as Dak here.
The mana cost is so brutal.
Exactly,
Isn't it? 3 mana.
You know, when you're on turn 5 and you're able to go like Ponder, you're able to Ponder and put something relevant down. But the Dak, you're less likely to do that.
And also that he can't find Magmatic Sinkhole because he wouldn't have a red source to kill it. So.
And naturally I swing him, not Dak. You know, there's an argument to swing Dak, but geez, I switch off, you know, Force of Will, I switch off Fetch Lands, and I force him to have an answer right here, right now.
You know, this is a lot of finds for Magmatic Sinkhole, right? So like he ponders, doesn't find Sinkhole, shuffle, activate Dak, try and find Sinkhole.
Yeah, he's got a lot of there's a lot of looks. There's a lot of looks, but I mean if I
think
swing,
you lose then, right? Because if he finds the Magmatic Sinkhole, kills your threat, and then he has Dak for the rest of the game,
he'll probably get up. Yeah, I'll pay that.
But you'd be live with a Colligan's Command or a Bolt. Ooh, wow. Flusterstorm. Whoa! Oh, that's so brutal.
That's pretty good.
Oh man. But so exactly what we're talking about. If the Dak was a Ponder, is that no? That was a previous turn.
Yeah, it was.
So.
I don't know what he's looking for.
Yeah, you can't brainstorm for anything.
Mind Break Trap, it's not going to work.
I think the Desperation Brainstorm is better spent by not using the Brainstorm.
Agreed.
And just passing the turn and chumping.
Yeah.
And then digging with Dak and Brainstorm.
Because there's literally no cards.
Yeah.
And I misplayed pretty badly here. I drew Jace. And then I was like,
oh, that was lethal. You just bounced the critter?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, no.
Doesn't matter too much.
Misplay, like, literally have lethal, but you feel like you're so far
I'm so far ahead, right?
You say you're so far ahead, he untaps in Magmatic Sinkholes the thing, and then somehow, you know...
Well, he could sinkhole, but...
Yeah.
He doesn't have that word. Well, anyway, I'm pretty far ahead here. And I, in fact, drop Pyroblast there. And I'm wondering if I should hold up Pyroblast for like a Ponder, or if I just hit Dak.
Well, the thing is, I think Dak does more than not more than a Ponder, but I mean Dak.
Once it's resolved,
you just have to kill it, I think. Yeah. He was probably wondering. He was probably like, "Oh, dodged a bullet."
Yeah, he did. As soon as I.
Oh, there's the sinkhole.
Yeah.
After.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, this is so good. So you got Max punished for misplaying, but will it actually cost you the match? That's the question.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty far ahead with Jace though. Untapping with Jace.
Oh yeah, untapping with Jace. I mean, he's got to literally untap and have another Magmatic Sinkhole or a Lightning Bolt, and you don't draw a Force of Will Hardcast or something. No, forces are out. So you don't draw a Hydroblast. So here you're just trying to seal the deal, right? That's why you brainstorm rather than Fate Seal out of bolt range.
I just want to find like a Strix or a Snap.
Yeah.
Or Bolt or Colligans, you know.
Yep.
And worst case scenario, I get card advantage even if I don't find it.
Yep, seems fair. Another Pluto Delta
Shuffle
fetching for another non-basic land.
Who needs it? I shuffled away like human land there.
That Ponder was like Ponder Jace something else, and you just shuffled it, I think.
Yeah, well, I think it was like Landline Jace.
Oh, okay, right.
And obviously I don't need another Jace. I just want to close the game.
Snap here is pretty much GG, Snap Ponder or something, and then you just kind of have lethal, and you go, you have to answer this,
the question
and then
again,
he goes, well, I answer that, but I still can't answer the Jace.
That's right.
Yeah, seems fair.
And I think my last card's Blue Elemental Blast.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. So another fetch lane ready to shuffle away the rest of the tripe on the top of your deck. And yeah, that's good games there. There were a number of windows there where Elliot was kind of live to the way his cascades lined up, and he just ended up cascading into a brainstorm. If he didn't cascade into a brainstorm and instead cascaded into a rhino, he probably would have won the game. Like, that's how close the game was.
The game was very close.
Yeah. It looks a lot closer.
But I think
it was a lot closer than it looked.
Yeah, it was very close. I think Elliot played it very well, I think it's almost knowledge of the format as far as like, that incorrect brainstorm where he did that desperation brainstorm almost out of frustration because he's frustrated that I had the Flusterstorm. But in reality,
you know there's nothing.
There's literally nothing. That's right.
Go to your turn, DAC to loot, and then brainstorm, and you've seen 6 cards that turn. And
I'd say same with the forces because he ended up forcing at least twice. I think he did force in 2 negations. I can't really remember. At least 2 times he forced and lost card advantage off it. And I think he probably would have been better off keeping the forces out. He might have had a bit more gas going into the late game.
Yeah, you just want to grind.
But I think his actual plays were quite good. It's just that format knowledge because that you can see. My point is that you can see in a game like as close as this, it can make a difference. The tiny little percentages. But also ripping Toxic Jellies is pretty good. And Flusterstorm. I had Flusterstorm in hand for a while, but yeah. Because I think I was waiting for him to tap out with the Flusterstorm.
Yeah. I think the way that in Elliot's seat, the way that you would sideboard here against Beckett is take out the forces and the forces basically. You take out those 6 forces.
Put in 3 pyros.
But you put in 3 pyroblast.
2 back to basics.
2 back
and
to
a blazing
basics.
volley.
You basically got 1 free roll. And whatever your 1 free roll is, you can, you can think about whatever that might be.
What's shenanigans?
So Elliot has shenanigans in his sideboard. Literally shenanigans, not that his sideboard is full of interesting
and
off-kilter things. It is a card called shenanigans.
Okay.
It's a shatter, so you destroy an artifact, but it has dredge 1.
Okay.
It's red.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. That's the new one, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Did
sweet.
we talk about sideboards? Did we miss that?
We talked about sideboarding.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We talked about.
So this is your hand. It's a bunch of blue spells.
Yeah, I got.
So brainstorm, no fetch land. You still keep this hand. Like you obviously don't mulligan this hand, but it is interesting.
It's awkward because there's no brainstorms, but it's 2 land, some cheap interactions.
2 brainstorms.
It's 2 brainstorms, Flusterstorm,
no
and Blue Elemental, and a snap, and 2 lands.
Yeah,
it's a keep.
It's definitely a keep, no doubt about it. But it's really awkward in the fact that you have 2 brainstorms, 1 blue source, no fetch land. Whereas if one of the brainstorms was ponder, like this is a situation where you actually want ponder. You're like, I wish this was ponder, but you don't want brainstorm. The chance of getting brainstorm locked are really, really, or they're not particularly high. They exist, but they are so punishing. The consequence of them is so high that it sometimes makes you think about it at risk. Still a keep, but yeah, it's just an interesting decision. I think one of the interesting kind of questions to come out of this game is Elliot a basketball fan? Is that something that has been established here? Is that in the lore?
Certainly not. No, that's the MTG official. MTG basketball fans. That's their official token for the Rhinos, mate.
Oh, okay. All right. So they
came out in the set.
So the Rhinos are ballers.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
They're ballers.
Okay. So Elliot has mull to 6, and again London Mulligan rules, so this is a lot less punishing. You can really sequence. I had a situation where I've had an opponent on Eldrazi mulligan down to 4, and we still had a really, really good game. Like Ancient Tomb into Chalice, and then
plus, I think
Ancient
with
Tomb
Visions
into Thought Not Seer. Like it's just an amazing 4-card hand because you're able to craft it.
Because he's got Ancestral Visions, I think there's a good chance he can get a turn 1 Visions on the play and just recoup that mulligan loss quite well.
Yep, makes sense. So
he's got As Foretold in his hand.
Speaking of As Foretold, is it foretold that there will be a back to basics this game when you have 2 non-basic lands and you've just seen 2 basic lands on the opposite side? You're like, hang on, maybe I'm going to get back to basics. Is that on your radar now? Are you worried?
No, I just didn't think about it at all.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I was like, I think there was a point I was thinking about Blood Moon.
Blood Moon, okay.
I thought about Blood Moon,
and
not back to basics.
Hydro Blast in your hand, like, yeah, I've got this, and then it's back to basics, and you're like...
I didn't think about back to basics, I thought about Blood Moon.
You look at the Flusterstorm and Hydro Blast in your hand, you go, I have... Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Elliot did a classic end-of-turn brainstorm. I did my fair share this tournament, but I will still always criticise it if it's not me doing it. Sometimes you're digging for something specific, but yeah, I think a lot of the time
most of the time it's wrong.
I think Elliot wanted to hit that turn 3 as foretold.
Yeah. If you only had 2 lands in hand,
yeah,
and he's actively going, I want to play this as foretold.
Yeah.
But the problem is your opponent's gonna have Hydroblast.
In fact, is this me doing an end of turn brainstorm now to try to find Pyroblast? Because keep in mind, as foretold, it's not an amazing card, but in this deck he can just play Ancestral Visions for free, and then in my turn play the Crashing Footfall?
Yeah.
Or is it Sorcery Speedbound anyway? Whatever. He can play a 0 mana for 2/4/4s. Right, so I'm pretty scared of it. So I think I looked for Pyroblast there.
Yeah, I think it's relevant there because you have 2 Brainstorms. So if you only had 1 Brainstorm and you've only got 2 lands, you basically go, well, I'm going to lose this game more likely by not hitting my land drops than by you having an As Foretold Resolve and happening to have on a mulligan to 6, happening to have the Crashing Footballs in hand. But the fact that you had 2 Brainstorms, it mitigates that situation, allows you to go, yes, I will brainstorm in response, even though I might get locked in case I find a Pyroblast. So I can see it in this specific situation.
Yeah, and here I'm doing it again. I love that I've just criticised Elliot for doing Anytime Brainstorm, and now I've done it twice in a row.
You're basically throwing them away. It's like brainstorms. Anyone want brainstorms? Paper shredder. Shred them down.
Look, all you need to know is if I do it, it's correct. And if anyone else does it, it's wrong. And if you're doing it, audience, it's wrong. Don't do it, all right? I'm the only one who's allowed to do it. I just want to get Snap out there. I like having Snap, especially because he's got Planeswalkers. Like, I think he's only got 5. It's still a lot. I thought he had more Planeswalkers, though, and I like having a critter out there. It makes it really awkward for him to, like, tap out and play Dak or tap out and play Ren, because then I get to go, like, we'll swing Ren down to 2, and then, like, Colligans to finish it off. Like, it makes a big difference. It really stifles a lot of what he can do.
I also like that he's been stuck on green mana, but the As Foretold is actually enabling him to play green spells.
It's a really good point. I didn't think about that. And Bleb Elemental Bleb there, hitting Ren and 6.
Yep. That's what they're
pretty happy.
Right?
Yeah, pretty happy with that sideboard choice.
Yeah, with Ren and 6 making up so much of the format, Blue Elemental Blast and Hydro Blast have just gained quite a bit of stock recently. So, in the past people have shaved down to just a single one or sometimes 0.
Why is he only on 18? Did I get a swing him with Snap? Is that what happened? Or am I missing something? I thought he bolted the Snap. Whatever. I'm not complaining. I think I might have got a swing him with Snap. Because there's no fetches in this bin.
Here's Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the question: are the forces still in the deck? Yeah.
And at least here I've got.
They are. The forces are still in the deck.
See, wouldn't you rather be Pyroblasting that or like, swinging into it?
It is. There's a lot of.
It's the literal best thing you can force, and it still doesn't feel amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of confirmation bias with Force of Will. So when people play Force and they're like, yeah, but I would have lost. Oh yeah, but I answered that thing. Oh yeah, but this Force was so integral because if I didn't have it, this Jace would have resolved.
But if it was something else, you could have played on turn 2.
And it would have been a Hydro Blast or something.
Exactly. Or like, I mean, not in this case, but if it was a Goyf and you were able to play it on turn 2, then you wouldn't have needed to have forced because you would have pressured their life total enough that they wouldn't have made that play, I completely agree. But yeah, Shuttle Agent definitely cascades into Renin 6, which is a 2-drop.
Strong.
That's pretty good.
After you counter a Renin 6 and then the second Renin 6 comes down with a bonus 2/2, it's pretty strong. The problem is Elliot has no fetch lands, so he's unable to return anything from the graveyard.
That's right, and he doesn't have much gas because he mulled 6. Remember, he was on the play, and then he had As Foretold, and As Foretold strong in this deck specifically, but you do it's like an ether vial. Like you do sacrifice a bit of like gas for mana advantage and I guess what's the term? Like the fact that you're able flexibility in your spells because you're able to do them in the end step, etc. It's hard to play around, kind of thing. Yeah.
Here's the
not Blue Elemental Blast, not on the Brainstorm.
Blue Elemental Blast on the Renin 6 in response to Brainstorm. Heads up play, making sure that the answers aren't found off the Brainstorm. There's sometimes people would do
I also wanted to Fluster Storm, so I wanted to get more spells on the side.
Value. Yeah, max value there. Where you get to fluster that with a storm count, so you end up having...
And I think Elliot's a bit frustrated because he tapped blue instead of using As Foretold. Keep in mind, he obviously wants to, if he brainstorms into the Footfalls, he wants to be able to cast that with As Foretold. So it makes sense why he did it.
For sure. Yeah, you can't really play around your opponent having Blue Elemental Blast and Fluster Storm to counter this Brainstorm. So it was still probably in the vacuum the correct play.
I think so too.
Yeah. So,
but As Foretold's up to 5 now, which is hard cast Force of Will territory.
All right, so your mono answers plus a brainstorm. I mean,
Yeah.
have you drawn all your brainstorms this game? You knew that you were. That's why you blew them early.
Yeah, no,
I've got to get more.
I flashbacked one of them. So I'm taking a bit of damage here from Shardless Agent. I've got multiple ways to kill. I got I think push, bolt, Colligans.
Yeah, it's good.
But like because I got so many answers, I'm not worried about my life total. So I'm happy to take a few little bits of damage from the Shardless Agent. Save up my removal for something that I really need to remove. There's another brainstorm.
All the brainstorms.
I've got another one in hand still. I think.
Yeah, see, I was expecting, something like Colligan's Command, back the Snapcaster the Hydroblast on the, Dreadhorde Arcanus or something. And these kind of like, complex, but you don't need to because you've got a Fatal Push. As you said, you just buy your time. You're going to be able to get there. But the one thing I am worried about actively is the longer the game goes, the more likely rhinos are coming down.
That's
and you're
true.
Going to have a hard time dealing.
Pyroblast and Ponder, I'm really happy with that Pyroblast. Never feel like you can't. You need to save up your Pyroblast for some massive spell. Ponder there is really good because I know he doesn't have anything else. So Ponder's like super strong. It's basically whatever the best card out of his top 3 anyway.
And a fetch. Ponder plus fetch makes it like a mini tutor, and you can't Pyroblast the rhinos.
Yeah. So here I could Pyroblast the Shardless Agent, but again I know I've got Bolt and I know I've got Colligans, so I'm not really worried about the Shardless Agent. I'd just rather get like some more cards.
Yeah, you'd rather just trade your Snappy with the Shardless Agent.
That's right, and now I've got Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, Jace Bounce Snappy is a really relevant line that can be taken after the Shardless Agent is gone.
But I think I forgot that I had another. There's the top card of my graveyard there is Snappy. And I've got Colligans. I think I might have forgot I had it because otherwise I probably would have fired off the Colligans a bit earlier and just like got the Snappy back so I can snap it. But it's pretty minor.
Yeah, fair.
I think I forget it though.
Do you have a removal spell in hand for the Shardless Agent?
I've got Bolt.
Spot removal?
I've got Bolt and Colligans. So
yeah. So
worst case scenario, if Snappy gets hit and I want to protect Jace, I can.
I think I don't even block with Snappy here.
Wow.
Because,
okay.
Yeah, you bolt the Shardless Agent.
Yeah.
Go to your turn, attack with Snappy for 2, and then bounce Snappy with Jace, and then you basically unlock your entire graveyard.
Yeah.
You're just like so far ahead at that point.
Yeah.
It's like Jace brainstormed into a Snapcaster Mage specifically.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
Yeah.
I could have brainstormed there to try to find Hydro, but I think I know I've used my 2 Hydros, so there's like literally nothing else.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's fair. Caveat on the previous comment about bouncing Snappy, I say that because your hand is already gas. Like your hand is just full of things. If you brainstorm there,
and now I go Fatal Push because
you don't need to put anything back.
It's basically damage. The Fatal Push equals damage because the Shardless and the Snapper equal. Really, they're 2-1-2-2. But I can start getting a bit of damage in. So he's actually on 15 there. He didn't take that damage.
There you go. Yeah.
16? No, he's on 15.
Largely moot.
He's on 15.
So the one card in hand is, probably just a land, but the main thing is that every top deck could be rhinos, and if they come out, because you don't have Force of Will, if the rhinos come out, it's actually a really hard game for you to win.
Yeah, and now he's on 13. We're writing it down in our pads, but we're not counting it on the life total. So he's on 12.
You missed the specific instructions from the booth. The booth is to always adjust the life pad,
yes,
the iPad, before you adjust your own life pad to ensure that this is maintained. We'll give the lecture more sternly next time.
And now, am I scared of back to basics? I don't think so at this stage.
Yeah, I think you can win through back to basics at this point.
Yeah.
Looking at your mana base, and just kind of looking at the dollars instead of the basic lands that could be.
Ponder's pretty good.
Ponder's a great one.
Very
here.
good Shardless Agent. Stops the Snappy and
mini tutor.
Asks a question for later. Still, he's not as foreboding. He's keeping it up for possible rhinos and possible visions.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the mana cost. It's not the mana efficiency. It's the fact that you can't cast those 0 mana spells that you can't suspend. So that's why he's using his mana, not the as foretold.
Yep. Now, none of these are rhinos, clearly, because otherwise that would just be... Well, actually, maybe one of them is, because otherwise you just snap shuffle.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, they could just be like more ponders.
If they're more ponders, you still take them, yeah. Yeah, you just ponder and you dig one deeper and then you shuffle them. Yeah, you know that a counter on the ponder would be so brutal because you know the other two cards are bad.
Yeah.
That would have, if that was a counter, you're like, oh.
So I think my hand is like bolt, and now I've got snap. So it's bolt,
So you return
snap.
snap. So you don't snap snap pyroblast the ponder there, because I think I would, because I'm pretty sure you win then, because you end up going, you snap. You counter the ponder.
I want to go bolt, snap, bolt down to 6.
Yep.
And
but
then...
if he finds rhinos, you lose. So like the ponder. The next two cards on the top of his deck are bad. So you're actually buying three turns.
I guess so.
3 turns.
But he would have just kept the rhinos anyway, right? So it's like one card difference that he doesn't have rhinos.
No, it's 2. So the 2.
He's got 1. 2 because
Yeah,
I
the
guess he
top
could
2
shuffle.
cards because of the ponder. So like basically you actually time walk him twice. Because he wouldn't be casting the ponder if one of the other 2 cards was the rhinos.
Yeah.
So like it's basically a sealed deal.
I think we adjusted the life totals there because I did bolt, snap, bolt, and he took 7. So whatever we ended up adjusting it. But yeah, no, my last card in hand is lightning bolt.
Yep.
So I do give him one chance to.
Yeah, because if the rhinos are here, then he can effectively block the 2 snappies, take 1 from the Baleful Strix, take 3 from a bolt, and still be alive. But it doesn't.
Although I still don't think it does win because I can bolt his face, swing him down to 1 with Strix, and then I've got 2 snaps and he's got 2 rhinos and I just kill him with Strix. But anyway, he's got a kill spell for snap. This is in turn 4, by the way, or something like that. Yeah, he's got a kill spell for the snap, but the final bolt does it.
But he can actually cast the Force of Negation though on your.
With the no, because he did the delve spell in my turn.
Delve spell in your turn.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
With the Azpatol.
Makes sense. Sweet. Well, that was a nice grind fest there. And I hope you enjoyed watching a bit of Rug Waterfalls versus 2018 Grixis Control.
Not that out there. A little bit out of there.
We'll see you in round 4.
See you then, guys.